JD, do you agree that the Packers will regret trading Aaron Rodgers?
No, I get what he's saying, but no, I don't think they will regret it because this was going to happen anyway. When you take a quarterback in the first round, he has to play. Now, when they had Brett Favre and they took Aaron Rodgers in the first round, they probably said the same thing. Oh, they're gonna be mediocre now that they got rid of Brett Favre. But the business part of it, which Sherman knows best, is that you got to play this first rounder. You got to. Same way how they had to play Aaron Rodgers when they got rid of Brett Favre. Same way they got to play Jordan Love when they got rid of Aaron Rodgers. That's part of the game. You draft for the future. Now, who knows? It's hard to replace a four-time MVP, a Super Bowl winner. It's hard. A Hall of Famer, it's hard to replace that. But I do think that they have to go out there and try because that's the business. That's why the GM gets paid. That's why the president, that's why the coach, that's why they get paid this money because you are in control of the franchise. So, yeah, I don't think they will regret it because that's part of the business. If he doesn't hold up his end of the stick as far as being as good as Aaron Rodgers, it still won't be a regret. That's part of the business.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they will regret it because they didn't have a choice. And the choice that they did have, they made. They chose to draft Jordan Love in the first round and move up to get him. And they chose not to communicate with Aaron Rodgers that they were going to do that. Right. All this talk about how bad Aaron Rodgers was and he's decaying and it was the right move. It was not the right move. And I have no problem with you drafting a quarterback if he falls to you, if you need to bolster your reserves. You should take a quarterback probably every couple years in the later rounds just to have a backup and see what they develop into. But this was an intentional move.
Yeah.
So this was put into motion. So what I will think they will regret, if there is a regret to be had, will be how they handled it. Because once you drafted Jordan Love, we were inevitably going to get to this point. This was coming down the road when you took Jordan Love. It doesn't matter how good he played. Look what he did since they took Jordan Love.
Right.
But you set this into motion. So the regret, I think, will be, should we have not taken Jordan Love in the first place and just rode into the sunset with Aaron Rodgers? Because we don't know what Jordan Love is going to be.
I agree with everything you just said. And yeah, if there's regret, maybe you regret the way that you played this. But on the flip side, let's try, and it's hard to do, but let's try to imagine a world where Jordan Love never gets drafted by the Packers. Aaron Rodgers said it at his press conference today. He's turning 40.
Right.
How much longer is he realistically going to play? In a world where they don't draft Jordan Love, maybe everything's hunky-dory, they make a couple more playoff runs, they don't get to the Super Bowl, which is a reasonable thing to think because they still managed to win 13 games 3 years in a row without getting there. And maybe he's retiring at this point anyway without that added fuel of needing to prove something because your organization disrespected you. So regardless of how we got here, in the year 2023, the Packers would still need to be thinking about the future.
Right.
They just jumped the gun a little bit, which, again, maybe they'll regret that, but I think they would probably be in a similar place.
What's there to regret? They ended up fleecing the New York Jets on this deal in terms of moving up, swapping picks, getting a second rounder. They're going to get they're going to get another first-round pick out of that. That's far more than certainly a month ago we were saying that we expected them to get out of this deal. And to Richard's point, so for a long time, Aaron Rodgers was the reason to fear the Green Bay Packers. It was why we always talked about them perennially being a Super Bowl contender. But let's look at the reality of the situation. How much fear did he put in teams last year? They didn't get to the playoffs. How much fear did he put in the Detroit Lions? If you look at all of their big wins last year, they were off of defense and special teams.
Run the ball.
He didn't have a great season by any stretch. And so, considering what they got and considering where they were with Aaron at this point, I don't see that there's anything to regret. And I got to take issue with this, with Richard, because we got a lot of former athletes now coming into the media.
Sure.
And
like me.
Yeah, and you always talk about, hating on guys.
Oh, I don't hate.
The NFC North team, I guarantee you every NFC North team is excited to see Jordan Love and is ecstatic. I guarantee it. Why are we taking a shot at Jordan Love at this point?
Hold up. That's actually true. A new quarterback, first year starting, everybody's happy for that. In every division. That's the facts.
Okay. But we're setting this up like the guys are going to be excited to play.
Well, yeah,
they are.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole tone of the comment is that we are under the assumption that Jordan Love is not going to be Aaron Rodgers, which is a fair and reasonable assumption.
But understood. I just don't see why you have to put Jordan Love in the crowd. He's not the one who said Aaron Rodgers has got to go.
But hold on, he's not saying nothing wrong. He's just saying, listen, every team in that division, they're super happy that A-Rod's out of there, and they're happy that Jordan Love will be playing.
You can say
they can't wait to face
You can say that.
That's what he said.
You can say no. He's saying they're excited that Jordan Love is now the quarterback. You can say they're glad not to see Aaron Rodgers anymore. That changes the Green Bay Packers.
You can't tell us how they should say something.
I don't know how. I don't know what Jordan Love
has to catch a stray.
Jordan Love, to be clear, Jordan Love is going to catch a lot of strays because he is replacing the man.
Yeah.
And anytime you come in after the man leaves, even if the man had a down year last year, you're going to be held to very high expectations. When we think of the Green Bay Packers, we think of excellent quarterback play.
Whoa. That's true. Nobody's expecting Jordan Love to be Aaron Rodgers.
I don't expect him to be Aaron Rodgers, but regardless of what we expect him to be, he is replacing Aaron Rodgers, and this is the NFL.
The last two guys have won multiple MVPs in Green Bay.
I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think it's reasonable at all to assume that the Packers are going to go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers.
No, it's not.
To another first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely
not. But what do I always say? Ain't no such thing as fair.
Yep.
This is the NFL. You're replacing Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay's used to a certain level of play. They're used to winning. You're going to have to perform.
There was one thing Richard said that I push back on. And it's true. I agree with y'all. It's true, of course. You would rather play Jordan Love than Aaron Rodgers. That's just basic understanding of football.
For sure.
But even without Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers should not be afraid of anybody in the NFC North. You're talking about, historically, one of the more inept divisions in football outside of Green Bay. We're talking, Joy, you bring this up all the time. The high water mark for the Detroit Lions in recent history is winning a regular season game in which they did not make the playoffs.
Sure.
The Bears' ineptitude since the '85 Bears speaks for itself. The Vikings have had plenty of success that's not in the playoffs. I'm just saying, if I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, I look at it and say, what have any of y'all done over the last 40 years that should make me be afraid?
Yeah.
The Vikings lost the most recent of their Super Bowls in the 70s. The Bears have been to 2 in the last 40 years. And the Lions are the Lions. I'm just saying, if I'm the Packers, there's not a history of success in that division that should make me feel afraid.
I hear you, but I think this is going to be a rough year for the Packers, and I think that's okay. Like, the Lions are trending upwards. While they are still trying to achieve things and prove themselves as real contenders, they are trending upwards. The Bears have made a lot of significant moves, and they're not done. Justin Fields is going to be much better next year. They've gotten him weapons. That's going to be an improved team. And the Vikings, while they don't do anything in the postseason, can very easily win that division.
Check in with me when this draft is over at the end of the weekend. Like, the
Packers have done nothing this offseason.
I strangely feel like the Packers are in a decent spot if Jordan Love is a good player, which is the great.
Well, right. This is all based off of the idea that Jordan Love can play, which we don't know.
Of course, but I think
Which is my point.
I like where the Packers are for a team that just got rid of their MVP quarterback. I don't feel that bad about it, in all honesty. We'll see, though.
I don't feel great about where the Packers are. Okay. I don't know what Jordan Love is going to be, and none of us do. But that doesn't mean that they should regret having to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Also, Aaron Rodgers wanted to move on.
Yeah.
So there was an arrangement here. And I don't think it has anything to do with the toxicity. Because to me, if it's Aaron Rodgers and winning, and would you rather deal with that toxicity or rather be the last in your division every single year? Like, sorry, suck it up. Stars have things come with stuff sometimes. Sometimes you got to put the green M&Ms in the dressing room. Like that's what it is.
So would you rather see Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay right now?
I would have never started this to begin with.
I know, but from where we are right now.
No, I think this is a better situation for Aaron Rodgers, and I think moving forward for the Packers, eventually, not this year, but eventually, I think it will be the right situation. But I would have never put myself in this situation to begin with.
Sure.
I would have found a way. I would have walked myself over to Aaron Rodgers' non-Wi-Fi having house and told him that we're thinking about drafting a quarterback. Let me discuss this with you.
That's a bad move. But what you said was he's been talking about retiring for 5 years. And I'm not here to defend the Green Bay Packers and how they've handled this situation. But I also am not going to absolve Aaron Rodgers and what he's done and the way he's operated and this whole FaceTime thing. Like, obviously he's still carrying a little bit of a grudge when it comes to how things ended in Green Bay.
Like, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not on Aaron's side on a lot of stuff, but I'm a very petty person. And if I do what I did in Green Bay, and that's how you lined it up for me, I might, you know what I'm saying? I might have to drag you a little bit for a little while. I might have to do it. I might just have to do it. That's just me. Other people are more gracious.
I think I'm with you.
I'm just saying, you have to walk over and make sure that your FaceTime works. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.